Hey guys, it's Julia, designer at the Quilted Cow, and today's tutorial is on the Lexie Bag. Before we begin, I'd like to thank my sponsors, Husqvarna Vikings Sewing Machines, Creative Grids Rulers, Mats and Rotary Cutters, and Wilmington Prints. Let's get started.
Quiet on set, we are rolling.
The Lexie Bag is one of my all-time favorite bags. It's very simple to make, it goes together quickly, and it holds a lot of stuff. It's got a few different zipper pockets and another pocket inside. Absolutely perfect crossbody or shoulder bag. You can find the kit on our website at thequiltedcow.com or on our Facebook Lives on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Let's begin. Our first step in the Lexie Bag is to make the zipper for the front pocket. So what we're going to do is place our lining right side up. We're going to place our zipper right side up on top, and then we're going to place our main fabric right side down. Now I have a directional print, so I want to make sure the bottom of my flowers are at the very top edge, so when I flip it, they'll be facing the right direction. I'm going to add some clips before we sew. Make sure your lining and your main are nice and even along this top edge. Once you've sewn across the top of your zipper, now we need to press our fabrics away from the zipper itself. So I always start by doing the main, and I just finger press it, and then I press it with my iron. And then I'll flip it over, do the same thing with my lining, and press that as well. Once you have it nice and pressed, we are going to go to our machine and add a top stitch right across this, about 1/8 of an inch right from the fold on our fabric. Now that I'm finished with the top of my zipper, we're going to finish with the pocket on the bottom. So for that, you'll need the other pieces of this fabric that we did not cut yet, and we're going to do the same steps. Lining right side up, zipper right side up, once again my main right side down. This time I'm going to sew my zipper to the top of it, so all my directions will be correct. Once again, just add some pins or clips before you sew. Once again, we're just going to press our fabric away from our zipper and top stitch. Now that we have the front pocket of our bag assembled, it is time to start layering our pieces. So what you want to do next is to grab the lining piece that's going to be the inside of your pocket. So we're just going to lay our lining right side up, matching our linings together, and our whole fabric is right side up. Now depending on how you do your zipper, this may be a little bit shorter than the fabric, and if you have to trim it, remember you need to trim the outside, the sides of both your main and your lining pieces to match. Mine is matching up perfectly, so I'm just going to go and put some clips in it so we can base these two fabrics together. Before I sew, you want to make sure that you move your zipper somewhere to the inside of your fabric so it won't get caught in your seam allowance and you won't trim off your zipper pull. Let's go sew. Once you have your pocket basted onto the lining fabric, now it's time that we can trim the ends of our zippers. I'm going to use this Creative Grids cutter and mat. And just trim the edges of my zipper nice and even with my bag. Once we have this part finished, we can just set our stuff aside. The next piece we're going to do is our tab fabric. So what we're going to do is take the 4-inch side and fold it in half. So that way the longer sides are cut in half. We're going to press that to get the nice center crease. Open it back up and match our raw edges to our center crease, just like you would for a strap. Once we have them lined up in the center, we're going to refold and press this very well. Next, we need to step to our machine and we're going to sew a top stitch down both long sides just for a nice finished look. Repeat this step for both of your tab pieces. Once you have both sides of your tab top stitched, it's time to attach our D-ring. So what we're going to do is just slide the D-ring onto the end with the flat part facing your tab. We're going to fold our tab in half and stitch as close to the D-ring as we can. This prevents it from turning while you're using your bag, so as close to the D-ring as possible. Once you have secured your D-ring inside your tab, the next step is to attach our tabs onto our main side fabrics. So to attach your tabs, you're going to take your main fabric, find the top of it. So mine's directional. I'm going to make sure I'm at the top of my print, and I'm just going to find the center at the top. Now you can fold these in half and mark the center simply by folding and finger pressing. You can press it with an iron, you can use a ruler and measure it to find the dead center. But we are going to line up our centers of our tab with the centers of our top. And then we're going to step to our machine and base stitch these two pieces together. Let's go sew. Once you've secured your tab onto your side fabric, you're going to repeat those same steps to do your other tab and side fabrics as well. Once you have finished with both sides, we are going to set this aside and start working on our lining pockets. To make the lining pocket, we're going to take our longest piece from our lining fabric and simply fold it in half. Now this fabric should have an interfacing only on the bottom half of your fabric. So what we're going to do is to just fold this in half and add a top stitch. Once you have top stitched your lining pocket, we are going to base stitch it in place with one of our lining fabrics. So I'm just going to place my lining right side up and stack my pocket right on top of it. Make sure your sides and your bottom are nice and even. Now that you have your lining pocket basted onto your lining fabrics, we're going to set this aside and go ahead and form the outside of our bag. Let's gather all of our main fabrics. So for this step, you'll need your front that we made the zipper pocket out of. You'll need your back fabric, your bottom fabric, and then your side fabrics with the tabs attached. Now it's just time to assemble. The first thing we're going to do is to assemble our base to our back fabric, just because it's thinner and it's easier to work with. Now once I have this lined up against the bottom, we are going to start and stop this stitch 1/4 inch from the ends. This is so we have room without creating too much bulk when we add the rest of our pieces together. Now that I have my base sewn on, I'm going to attach the front of my bag as well. So make sure you have your bottoms together. Once again, starting and stopping 1/4 inch from the ends. At this stage, your project should look like this. You have the back, the bottom, and the front. The next step is just to attach our sides. So we're going to make sure our sides are nice and even on the top and along the edge. Go ahead and add some clips to hold those together. We're going to start at the top corner and stop 1/4 inch from the bottom, and repeat this step for both sides. Now that you have your sides attached to your front fabric, it's time to form our bag. So what we're going to do is take the back and match it right up with our sides, just like we did with the front. Add some pins or clips to hold this together while we go. And you're just going to be forming a nice rectangle kind of bag. Repeat the same step for the other side, just matching up your raw edges. Next, we're going to step to our machine and stitch our sides. Once again, stopping 1/4 inch from the very bottom. Now that we have our sides stitched together, it's time to sew our sides to our bottom edge of the fabric. For this, I'm simply going to go and put my hand inside the bag and push my front and my back fabrics out. That'll line up your side fabric right with your base fabric. And then we're going to add a 1/4 inch seam, making sure to add a back stitch at the beginning and end of our stitch. You'll repeat that for the other side of your bag. Once you have everything stitched and assembled, we're going to do the same steps for our lining. For our lining fabrics, we have the back of our lining with the pocket, the front, sides, and the base. Same pieces we have for the main. We're going to start with the front of our bag and our base. We're going to make sure to leave a 3 or 4 inch opening, a little larger if you struggle, so that way we can turn our bag right side out at the end of the project. So now we're going to go stitch our base to our front lining piece. Let's go sew. Now that you have the bottom sewn to the front of your lining, you're going to repeat the exact same steps that we did for our main fabrics in order to assemble. Let's continue assembling. Once you have your lining nice and assembled, we're going to go ahead and start assembling our zipper top. So let's set our lining aside. For your zipper top, you're going to need 2 lining fabrics, 2 main fabrics, and your zipper. A zipper foot is very helpful anytime you do a zipper. Please keep that in mind. We are going to set our lining fabric right side up, place our zipper right side up on top of it, and then place our main fabric right side down. Make sure that you line up the top and the side edges of your fabric. Let's add some clips to hold it in place while we sew. Once you've sewn your zipper in between your fabrics, we're going to once again just finger press and then press with the iron our fabrics away from the zipper. We're going to step to our machine and add a top stitch about 1/8 of an inch just from this top fold, and then we'll repeat the exact same steps for the other side of our zipper. Now that we have the top of our zipper completely assembled, we're going to move our zipper pull towards the center and then trim it to the correct measurements. I'm going to include the zipper when I'm making my measurements and trim one side at a time. Now that we have our zipper top trimmed to the correct size, it's time to assemble our bag together. You can do this multiple different ways. So I like to take my main fabrics and place them together and pin along both long edges. Now you can take the lining out of your fabric or go ahead and keep it in your seam allowance. It doesn't matter either way. Once I have one side clipped together, I'm going to repeat the same steps for the opposite side. So at this stage, your fabric should look like this. You should have your lining up and all the rest of your project should be inside out. Now you can take and clip your lining onto your seams at this stage and just do one stitch and then just add it into the clips that we already have. Or you can stitch it separately. This pattern has you stitch the linings together and the mains together. If you do that, make sure that you're keeping your lining out of the fabric seams whenever you're sewing. And you'll just repeat the same step for both your sides. So now I have my lining pinned to my lining part of the zipper and my main pinned to my main side of the zipper. And my zipper is just sitting here sandwiched in the center. I'm going to go sew both my long edges and then we'll finish the top. Simply press your fabrics together and do each side. Now that we have secured our long side seams, it's time to stitch our ends together. So we're going to repeat the same steps. I have my lining, my main, and my zipper sandwiched in the center. Once again, I always like to pull my front and my back out at a point just so they don't get pinched in there. And then I'm going to put some clips to hold this in place and do the same on the opposite side. Once you have all your pins and clips in place, simply squish your bag together and go sew your sides. Now that I have my lining stitched together with my main, I'm going to turn it right side out through my turn opening in my lining. Simply going to reach through and finagle it so I can get my fabrics all right sides out. Now that we have our bag all the way right side out, we are going to go ahead and stitch our turn opening closed. Now you can press this if you would like. I always just put my fingers in both ends and pull, and it just magically tucks that 1/4 inch right under. Once you have it, so it's all tucked in, we're gonna go sew this opening closed. Now that we have stitched our turn opening closed, we're simply gonna press our lining inside of our main part of our bag. Once you have all of your corners poked out and all your linings nice and smooth, we can go ahead and zip all of our zippers closed. And next it's time to make our strap. To do this stage, you will need 2 swivel hooks, 1 slider bar, and your webbing or your strap material. We're gonna start with our webbing and go from the wrong side of our slider bar up over the bar and back down. So our fabric should only be covering this center slider bar at this stage. I'm going to tuck my raw edge under, and then I'm going to go sew this strap back to itself. Now that we have our sliders nice and secure, it's time to attach our swivel hooks. So I'm going to go to the open end of my strap and slide 1 swivel hook on. I'm going to make sure my webbing is not twisted as I go. I'm going to go up through my slider and then down the other side. So now your strap should look like this: 1 slider bar and a swivel just stuck on the end. To finish our strap, I'm going to turn it so my slider bar is right side down, and I'm going to place my swivel on this open end. Fold my raw edge under, and then I'm going to go and sew this so it secures back to itself. Your finished strap should have a slider in the center and a swivel attached to both ends. The final step is just to attach our swivel hooks onto our D-rings. And that is how you make the Lexie bag. You can find kits on our website at thequiltycow.com or on our Facebook Lives on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Please like and subscribe for more tutorials, and thanks for watching.
Okay, you wicked cool quilters, good job. You made it to the end. We would like to thank our sponsors, Husqvarna Viking Sewing Machines, Creative Grids, rulers, rotary cutters, and mats, and Wilmington Prints for the beautiful fabrics. Thanks for watching.